level up, 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 level up. Five, four,
Four,
3, 2, 1, wow. Level up,
level up.
level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this stuff so yummy. Know you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, level up,
All
level up,
right, now, Marisa.
level up, level up, level up.
Well, welcome to our
Uh,
first broadcast. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host. This is for our young people, Bridging the Gap, Strategizing for Student Success. And Adiola is in the house with me.
woohoo.
Next gen entrepreneurs. Oh my God, so excited. This is our very first show. And we're just keeping it real. We're talking about our young people, BTG, Bridging the Gap, Strategizing for Student Success. We just launched this year in the Own It platform, the BTG magazine, where it talks about all things leadership pertaining to our young people, what it is, entrepreneurship. We highlight entrepreneurs, young kids launching their businesses, colleges, leadership development programs that are out there, young people who are doing the darn thing and succeeding. And we've even had over the last couple of issues, we've even had young people who are millionaires. Like they are millionaires because they are making a priority their vision for their life. They're taking ownership. They're having that CEO mindset.
Mindset.
Some of them have parents that support them and what they're doing, and some are doing it in spite of, right? Adiola,
Yeah. Yeah.
they got our young people have to survive. So these young people who have disciplined themselves enough to make this a priority, their vision, they're tapping into their gifting, their ideas, and they're sacrificing and doing the work. And that's what Bridging the Gap, Strategizing for Student Success is really all about, is helping
Wow.
the young people bridge the gap between having an abstract vision and seeing that vision come to fruition. And so with me taking center stage and owning it is Adiola. Adiola, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I know we've been trying to get this happen, so I'm so glad to be here.
You sound like me over here in the DR. You just sound so relaxed.
I know, right?
You
Spring
sound
break.
so relaxed.
It's spring break, so
But
I'm
talk to us. You are doing a lot of things with not only your generation, but you're doing a lot of things with the next generation, the up and coming generation. And you're not counting it robbery. You're not just doing it on a national level, but you're doing it on an international level. So speak to us about the program that you have in place, and what's been going on with your young people and your arena.
okay. Thanks for sharing that. So, like I've actually been working with the youth for I think it's about 16 years now, right?
Mhm.
Through initially it was through a nonprofit that I founded called the Gems in here in the Washington D.C. area, and then a few years ago we decided to launch. I decided to launch an online platform, an online academy for middle and high school aged girls. So pretty much we call it the tagline. Of course, it's called the Next Genpreneur, and the tagline is we're developing developing and equipping the next generation of girl entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators. So what we really do is that we make sure that we equip them with the skills, the life and leadership skills that are not taught in traditional schools, right? Such as entrepreneurship and innovation, financial literacy skills, leadership skills, which you've been a part of, communication skills, and then mental wellness. So we kind of go with those four core pillars, and it's been really amazing. Like you said, we have girls from different cities in the U.S., the UK, Canada, South Africa, Nigeria, and counting. So it's been amazing, and just seeing what these girls do, it's just been mind blowing and very humbling.
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
and it feels good to be able to give back, right?
Yes.
So I know for me, what compelled my heart to work with young people was the gap that I saw, the gap that I saw in resources for all students, not just for the
Yeah.
honor roll students, but for all students, and in regards to that, and then having clarity of direction. So as a young person, um, you know sometimes you have dreams and you have aspirations, but if you don't have the support and resources necessary, um, that thing that could have been great actually goes quietly into the night with that young person and never develops, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then we talk about even the challenges with the young people who do show up to actually to the programs, is keeping them focused and making sure that they find value in what's being
yeah,
offered. So some of the challenges, one, you have a kid who wants to do it, really wants to do it, but doesn't have the resources. Then you
to
have
do
the
it.
kid that has the resources, but has that challenge with staying focused or value on what's being presented in front of them. What would say be
Yeah.
some of the challenges that you face in working with the young people?
So I think you could sort of like just hit it, hit the nail on the head. So it's different categories. Like you said, the first one could be people that actually want it so bad, but they cannot afford it, right? Um, Sometimes it's the kids want to do it. The kids want more. They want more beyond just going to school, coming back home, maybe playing sports and everything. But their parents are holding them back, thinking, oh my gosh, you're still young. Wait till you get out of college. Wait till you're in your 20s. Wait till you're in your 30s, right? And my thing to that is that we cannot, first of all, we can't even look at these kids the way we were raised, obviously. And my thing always is, and we can tell, with COVID recently, that we were not, I wasn't playing with an iPad when I was 3 or 5 or 7. But now I'm sure if you give it to a 5-year-old, they can work that thing. They can work that iPad. I know my young one can, he will log himself into like Zoom, change his virtual background in third grade, right? It does all that. So that's one challenge that we have sometimes with some parents that still kind of undermine what this kid can do, thinking, "Oh no, it's not for you right now." And then these kids are getting frustrated.
Yeah,
And truth be told, that's why sometimes they get in trouble because
yeah,
when a kid is not engaged, when they're bored, they're not engaged, they're not being stretched or challenged, they're gonna look
right.
for something to kind of occupy
Mhm.
the attention, right? And then the third category is the kids that I definitely don't want. If the parents are really trying to, expose them to more things, and the kids are just not having it. So that's the
Right.
combination of kind of what we see. And obviously, there's so many other external factors like peer pressure. We know how that is. And with the increase of anxiety, depression, especially COVID, kind of
Yeah.
heightened a lot of things too. So those are some things that I would say that has been challenges as far as with the working with youth. Let me put it that way.
Right. So Pew Research, and we were talking about it before we went live,
Mm-hmm.
had, and look, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 areas by which young people are being challenged, and it's the anxiety and depression,
Yeah.
alcohol and drugs, bullying, cyberbullying, gangs, poverty, and teen pregnancy. And one of the biggest issues here, one of the top issues, was anxiety and depression. And a lot of that has to do with suppression, right? So you talked
Yeah.
about when a parent doesn't realize that their kid is operating, wants to operate at their maximized potential. They really are, they're in a classroom. They can even be average grade students, right? So but they need to be challenged in the
Mm-hmm.
classroom environment. They need to be allowed to be challenged, because some of that anxiety and some of it but it's masked energy, right?
Yeah.
That needs to be illuminated. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be stirred up.
Yeah.
Who was it, Socrates, that says question the teacher? Like the student is ready to learn, and some of the anxiety and some of it is parents and their own insecurities, being concerned about, just like you said, letting them be exposed too early, but some of the kids, like, who would have thought, who did Martin Luther King's mother knew he was going to be Martin Luther
I
King? What
know.
about
Yeah.
Malcolm X? What about Mahatma Gandhi? What about Oprah's parents? Did they expect her to turn out this way? We don't know what our children are capable
Of
of.
doing.
And
Yeah.
the biggest thing that we have to do is to be a guide. Sometimes is to sit back
True.
and kind of be a guide to them, so that we don't suppress that, so that we don't
Yeah.
suppress their gifting and that. So you had this great idea. What persuaded you? Like, what was that triggering point that made you say? And I say this to say, to provoke other people, because our young people really need us. They really need
Definitely.
us to show up. Because they need to be able to come to a place of grounded wisdom, not their. They need to be able to talk to their peers, but they shouldn't be getting
Too.
substantial
Advice.
advice from
Yeah.
peers.
From the
And if adults don't begin to show up for our young people, we have a great deal of talent out there that's going to go to waste. So
definitely.
what provoked
And
you? What made you? What stirs you up beyond the challenges? What keeps you going beyond the challenges? And
yeah, so let me refer to what you just talked about briefly and I'll answer your question. So you know how you talked about how a lot of times sometimes the parents are thinking that maybe they're trying to hold the kids back. And a lot of time it's subconscious, trust me. And
yeah, oh yes, oh
I've dealt with this for so many years. I see that all the time because of the fear of the unknown, like, oh my gosh, if they do this, maybe that would affect their studies or whatever the case is, right? Or sometimes I can't support it. I don't have the time. Right? The other aspect of that actually is that sometimes some parents want to live their lives through their kids. So when we talk about anxiety, depression, and all that, outside of it being clinical, because obviously we know sometimes it's all clinical, no matter what, that's different, right? But let's
right,
just say
right,
regular anxiety, pressure, and all that that parents sometimes don't realize these kids have. So there's one aspect of it that parents are thinking, nope, you can handle it, just focus on your studies. Da, da, da. The second aspect, sometimes the parents push them too much because they're trying to live their life through them. And that's why you see some parents put them in 100 programs. The same kid is in piano, soccer, coding, entrepreneurship classes. They're taking swimming classes. They're learning how to invest and doing NFTs. And it gets overwhelming
yep,
because, and so going back to what you're saying, as parents, and I'm just addressing our parents now, or if you have someone in your care, someone young in your care, you also want to make sure that at the end of the day, you do what's best in the interest of this kid, not necessarily yours, and you have to take it out of the picture because sometimes we personalize things and then we think if my kid shows up and he or she is doing 100 things, then it makes me look better as a parent, right? And not really weighing the fact that can this kid handle it, because we know each child is different.
yep,
Some kids are go-getters, some kids are natural leaders, they have it, they can handle multiple things, and some cannot. But it doesn't mean each of them are not, each person is not a leader, or each
right,
person cannot still thrive. We just have to be very conscious of how we work with each person and make sure that we're not trying to live our lives through them as parents, right? And to answer the question about what keeps me going, I'm not gonna lie. I always joke about how maybe once in a couple of years I'm like, I'm done.
oh yeah, we all do
I'm
that.
gonna, it's like, ooh, because, and I'm being very honest, I really truly believe this is a calling of mine, because if it was monetary, I probably wouldn't be doing it. Because my main thing, I'm a business strategist. So I work with a lot of clients and small business owners. That takes a lot of my time. And working with the youth takes a lot of time too. Because
Yes,
for them, it's just not about here's this, boom, 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 boom. There's a lot of mental work, psychology. You got to also make sure that you keep them engaged. There's a lot
yeah,
that goes in with it beyond an adult. An adult already knows what they need to some extent, but for
right,
kids, they don't know necessarily. So, in order for them to be attractive, for you to give them what they really need, you have to be able to show them what they want,
yep,
and that takes a lot of energy sometimes and effort and
yep,
all that. So, I do believe that it's a calling of mine because it draws me. I can't even explain it. Like, before I even started the gyms way back 16 years ago, I would just randomly see some teens walking down the street, and I'm like, or my neighbors, and I'm thinking, what is she doing with her life? I'm having conversation, and then before I knew, I started having little meetings, let's go to Starbucks, and I'll buy them all something. Pick up a drink, you know.
Right.
It's always been something I've always been engaged with, even prior to me making it official. When I was younger, I used to tutor. So I've always been into teaching, educating, and also giving back to the next person, especially the young people. So that's what I'll say keeps me going. I also always want to make sure that I'm the person to someone that I wish that I had when I was a teenager. I could be that person to the next teenager coming up, if that makes sense. So that's kind of
Oh yeah,
what I'll
it does
say.
make, and we need people like you, that are compelled to provide programs like what you do, to provoke the young people to think, to expose them up to different opportunities. We need that. We need that because our young people are really crying out for that.
Yeah.
Um, they, there's, I love my research. So I'm looking at here, lead change group.com says 7 steps to develop young leaders. Teach them about confidence. Be a great example, which is a lot of us adults
Yeah.
need to work on.
You do.
Take part in youth engagement programs. Teach kids to be organized. Organized is critical too.
It is.
Teach them how to be organized because that'll help them to be disciplined. It
Yep.
helps with clarity and focus. Encourage them to make the world a better place. Explain that failure isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something critical too, is to tell them that failure is a part of your journey to success, right?
Yeah.
Is
And
to your journey
resilient.
to the better you, and it also builds character. So, learning how to deal with anxiety and depression. One of the critical things right here is to embrace failure. Don't be embarrassed and ashamed of
About
failure.
it. Mm-hmm.
That needs to be conveyed to our young people that you're not always going to win, and it's not necessarily always about winning. It's about building character, cultivating and strengthening skills and competency,
Yeah.
developing critical thinking and deductive reasoning, right? So that you can
And
make,
resilience too, like being resilient.
yes, being resilient and allow them to make their own decisions. And I
Sense.
think that somewhere along the line, taking away chores and regular routine activities, in regards to maintaining a household, I think that we've gotten away from teaching our children discipline and structure, and the importance of value and respect, right? So when kids have chores, and they have to clean up, they ain't
Mhm.
doing it to mess up,
Yeah.
right? They don't want to do that again, right? If you teach them, if you give them an allowance and you tell them that if they want to buy something, they have to use that allowance. They're not going to use that money just any old kind of
Anyhow,
way.
yeah. Yeah,
They're going
you're
to
right.
begin to learn how to balance a budget. They're going to learn how to regulate their wants and desires over their needs and
Needs.
necessity. And so I think that we kind of need to get back to that kind of discipline and bringing it in. And I say that to say this to you is because in your program, I know that you teach them about finance,
Yeah,
right?
we do. We do. Basic and advanced, actually.
Say that again because I
Yeah,
need to
so
hear
oh,
you.
so I was at basic and advanced. So we do just not just I mean we go over the basics like budgeting, savings, credit card, debit cards, healthy money habits. We even do like a psychology of money because they have to understand that everybody has their own money mindset. And everybody, some people are spenders naturally, some people are like savers. So they do assessment on that. And then the advanced one is our signature program called Girls Who Invest Like a Pro. So it's really about stocks and real estate and taxes, and we're looking into adding like the whole crypto and everything this year because now they're asking for it too. And like I said, these kids are more advanced than we think about. I don't know if you heard or read that story about an 11-year-old that became a millionaire by selling art. She has some NFTs, or I'm not really familiar with the digital currency thing, but she
Okay.
was selling art, like digital art. She made a million, and she's just 11.
Mm, mm,
So yeah. So going back to what we're saying is that I mean, we know they were born into technology age, so it just giving them what they need so they can take what they need for for their
So
future.
I can say this is that we can focus on anxiety and depression and alcohol and drugs and bullying, cyberbullying and gangs and poverty and teen pregnancy. And those are really issues. Like they're
Yeah.
really challenges. Um, but how do we, because we do that so much that sometimes, because I remember, when I was in my 20s, I said, we're always helping the kids that are doing well. And we're always
What about
punishing the kids that are doing that are
not
not
so well?
doing so well.
Yeah.
So when I got my job at AT&T, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I had an aha moment. What the heck happened? Okay. My guidance counselor, Miss White James, called. I forget. I called her office and I said, "Hey, Miss White James, what can we do to help? Like, what can we do to give
Mhm.
back?" I don't know what I was thinking. I have no idea. I don't know where it came from. I just don't know where it came from. But I just had this unction in my spirit, in my heart, and I reached out to her and said, "Well, what can we do to give back?" So she had us come to the school, the high school. She was my high school guidance counselor. Uh,
Okay.
she had us come back to the school, came back to the high school, and it was a group of us. So we gathered around and we spoke to this group of young people. It was very informal. We were just sitting around shooting the gib, talking to the kids, and at the end of the conversation, we're all ready to go. Now we are all older. I think
Yeah.
we weren't even. I wasn't even 23 at that time. I think I was maybe
Wow.
20, 21. And so we were getting ready to leave, and the kids were like, um, they basically said we were there on our own agenda. That most folks that come and talk to them are hypocrites, and
Wow.
yeah, most of them come. But wait until the plot thickens here. Uh, that most of the adults are hypocrites. They coming on their own agenda. How much did we get paid to come and talk to them? And we were just gonna leave. Like you had this conversation with us, but now you're gonna leave. Well, you can't talk to me like that.
Yeah. They don't have the trust to.
Well, the trust was broken. Where did
I
that
was gonna say
trust?
they don't have the
That
trust.
breach of
Yeah.
trust. So I say all of that to say that we ended up creating what was called the Wanted program. So we created the Wanted program, and this Wanted program, the guy that I was dating at the time, we set it up. He was a software engineer, so we set it up. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, he was tutoring the kids at the public library, and we were having events surrounded around these young people. Well, we're in it thick, so this must have been like towards the end of the school year. By the end of the summer, we are taking these kids to New York City to the Jacob Javits Center to see. At that time, Wendy Williams was just starting out with, like she was real popular back then.
Yeah.
A DJ, she was a DJ or whatever, host or whatever she was doing. They met Wendy Williams. We were at the Jacob
Oh,
Javits
that's
Center,
good.
the big expo. It's the New York Expo. Took these kids only to find out when we brought them back in September. By the time the summer is over, we had their parents cooking grilled chicken and all other.
Ah.
We was living it up. Like, listen, you know me, I'm an organizer, right? So it's like, hey, Mark is in the house. So we're with these young people, and September rolls around, and the Miss White James tells us they were delinquents. We are with these kids, no liability protection, no
Wow.
nothing. We were able to get the van from the
I'm
YMCA,
saying.
and we were able. We had pizza party. We was living it up with these young people, and we really wanted to just shower them with love and shower them with, just talking to them and kicking it with them,
Mhm.
and finding out what was going on with them, and then structuring a program to answer their needs. But we didn't know. We didn't know these kids were, facing truancy and all this other kind of stuff. Let me
Wow.
tell you something. That is not how they showed up for us in the summer. They were good. They were kind. We had fun. We did so much with these young people. and even connected to some of them today. And so, and what it did was it really showed me that our young people are in need of quality leadership. They're in need of people who show up, but stay, remain, don't give up, don't quit on them,
Yeah.
and to offer them an opportunity that's outside of their neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
stay in this mess, drugs, alcohol, depression. The 9 times out of 10, they don't leave their community, so they never have the
Yeah,
opportunity
they're not exposed
to
to
see
something
their
else.
options. hmm To see their options, and what your program does is really broadens. You have a mixture, so you have some that are ready to just they have the resources that they need, and you have some that don't have the resources that they need. But that combination of having those different
Yes.
types of kids in the same room, it's the same thing with the adults. You have that different combination of experiences, culture, ideology, right?
Yeah.
Perspective. When you put that all in the same room together, it creates an opportunity if the individual, whether young or older, is open to it, to just be open to something that they would have never known possible for themselves.
Yeah, you're so right. And it's so interesting you said that because I remember during COVID, and one of the parents, well, made a comment. She said, of course, we have most of the kids here in the US, obviously. And I guess when a lot of them were talking about, we let them network and connect with each other, which is an amazing thing. Because now when they travel to other countries, they most likely can say, "Oh, I know somebody in the UK." You know. So this particular parent was saying that her daughter, after she got off one of the sessions, she was like, "Mom, I think here in the US we're a little spoilt." And she said the mom was like, "What do you mean?" She said because of course during COVID we had them come up with so many challenges and projects to work on. One of them was for them to all find a problem in the communities and come up with a solution. Those girls got busy, right? And then after that, they had to come and pitch the idea, and a good number of them actually turned that into a business because
Mm,
they pitched the ideas, they got money for it. We got some sponsors to kind of because we're like we got to keep these kids busy because
yes,
when COVID just hit, for example, schools were closed, nobody knew what was going to happen. So the kids were just home, and all they were doing was complaining because they couldn't go out, they couldn't do anything. So we stepped in and said, "Hey, we have a 7-day challenge." So every day they'll come up with something, and they had to work on it. So I think during one of the sessions, one of the girls, maybe the breakout session, they were talking about how they can what they hate the most is that they can't go out to the malls with their friends. And I wasn't in the conversation anyway, but the parents were saying that. So I think one other girl from a country in Africa, right, was like, well, that's it. I mean, over here, we don't even have electricity right now, and then she had like all kind of other stuff, like the basic things that people would think they should have here. And obviously, and I'm being very honest, I'm going to be very transparent. For most kids that are in our program from if it's a developing country, they're like the top tier over there for them to be able to be in our program, just by default,
mm,
because the kids that don't have the basic needs, they're not even thinking about anything else. They're not thinking about wanting to learn
right,
about entrepreneur. They're just trying to survive, right? So
right.
they're not even trying to get on the internet or paying for Wi-Fi or whatever the case is. So going back to what you're saying, that exposed the young girl, I think she's 14 here, that you know what? I shouldn't complain about my little not being able to go to the mall. That's the only problem I have right now. I think I'm good, right? So being able to have them also learn, like you said, other cultures, what's going on globally, I believe it's keeping these kids, it's giving them an unfair advantage. Because
Mhm.
if you want to become a leader in this next generation, you got to be global aware.
Yes, you
You just
do.
can't be aware by your little city, Maryland,
Yeah,
like Greenbelt, Maryland or DC, and then you're not familiar with anything else going on, even in the West Coast
right.
or out of the country. So that's been one
And you have
amazing
to be,
thing.
yeah, and you have to be connected. So the young people here in the Dominican Republic was beautiful, and I'm just, and you're with you just saying what you said, it's just awakened me up. You see, first of all, you see a
Yeah.
lot of boys, so you see a lot of young boys. And what's really nice about these young boys is they're climbing the trees and grabbing the coconuts, honey. And you see
Uh,
them tagging on. They don't have a cell phone in sight, And I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm so busy and
Yeah,
man,
trying to get settled.
no, I'm just like chilling. Like I am literally walking around and it is so relaxing because I'm right here with the sea. So that Caribbean sea air is just it just calms you. It's
Yeah.
the air. It's the air. But the young kids are out here and they're running around and they're playing and they're very they're very confident. They're not
Yeah.
they're very confident in their conversation. They're very direct in their conversation. You see a lot of strong leadership in these young men, and these are little boys.
Young
They're
boys.
like 6, 7, 8 or 9
Wow.
or 10 years old. And like I said, they're up in the tree getting the coconut. Well, why not? They can do that, right? They can grab. I wish I could grab the coconut. They're right outside my door on the tree, and they're like a cluster of them. I was like, I wish I could reach them suckers
And grab it.
right there. But they are having natural fun.
Yeah.
They're not worried about technology. They're not worried about competing. They're not worried about all of that stuff. They're just living. And that's how I was when I was a little girl. I was a tomboy. So I climbed and so I could relate to
And
them
it.
climbing the tree and getting the coconuts. But you see them be kids and you see them um, being creative. Their
Yeah.
creativity is there.
It
um,
is. Yeah.
so when you think about where we're going in our future, and I was reading up on it, and I'm remembering part of it, but one of the things that was shared was connectivity,
Yeah.
being able to connect, and being knowledgeable about the world around you. We are globalized. If this pandemic didn't do
Yeah.
anything else, it told us that we're not alone in the U.S.
And this. Mm-hmm.
so to speak, and that there's a whole world out there that's ready to connect and to receive us. And so, that's critically important for us to prepare this next generation to understand diversity. Um,
Definitely.
and,
And
and,
empathy. Empathy,
and,
kindness.
and
Empathy.
respect. Respect. Excuse me, because they don't have a cell phone doesn't mean that you're better than them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that because you have a cell phone, they're better than you. No one's
Mm-hmm.
better than no one. It's just about culture. It's about environment. It's about resources, and it's about what value systems, right? What's
Yeah.
important based on where you are and based on who you are. And it's okay to have different value systems. The key is to have the respect. And so, with that being said, share again about your program and what's your vision and what do you plan? What's your great what is your great vision for?
For
We're
the
already done with the first quarter of the year, so
yeah.
moving into the remaining part of the year, is there anything that you need out there in the world for us to come and support you with? And just share a little bit of insight. So those who view now and view later, they know how to connect
Okay.
with you and also to support what you're doing and just know that you're out there.
Thank you. So for those that are just joining right now or that will be catching on replay, so the next genpreneur, we actually call ourselves an online academy and platform for the next generation of middle and high school girl entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators. So what we really do is provide a safe environment, first of all, and a global online platform whereby we equip these girls with leadership skills, life and leadership skills like entrepreneurship, financial literacy, leadership skills, and mental wellness. Those are our four core pillars. Obviously, under each pillar, we have different things. Like under leadership now, we have public speaking, emotional intelligence, the whole 9 yards, right? And so that's kind of what we do. Our mission, my vision, which is like long term and short and long term, is to eventually get to a point that we're a household name for
Hmm.
the next generation of girl leaders. Like that's kind of what we envision, right? We have our merchandise line, we just haven't put it public. The girls are the ones that get it. Like
Mhm.
We have like t-shirts and bags and all kind of stuff. So
Wow.
the vision is to eventually become a household name whereby when you think about anything that has to do with developing the next generation of the female leaders, I mean, look at what's going on in the US now. We have the first female vice president. We have, look at what happened a couple of weeks ago, with the Chief
Judge
Justice. So
Jackson.
the judge. So that's the plan. We want to get to a point that we're not only in every city in the US, but we start to reach many more countries. I want a girl in China, in India, in Kenya to be able to connect to us, not necessarily as a paid member, but just be part of a community whereby we have an app whereby they can all connect. They
Yes.
can get resources, and that's kind of what the vision is. Yeah, so we're looking into thousands of girls. That's actually our 3-year plan, is to hit 1,000. We're
Oh,
still on the hundred, so we're
oh
getting
no.
there. Yeah, and for as far as what we need help with, definitely we're always looking for people that actually have the same vision, that want to partner with us in any capacity. Either you want to be a speaker with us girls, or you want to be a mentor, or you want to just be part of it, or you have a community of yours. You have a community of parents and educators that might be interested in our program, and you want to be a partner and help us bridge the gap. BTG, connect the dots,
Yeah. Yep.
be an affiliate of ours, being an ambassador, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what we're looking into for this actually second quarter. We're going on a campaign for ambassadors and affiliates. So thanks for
Oh,
asking.
oh yeah, yeah. Because
Mhm.
it's important for us to know who's
Yeah,
out there and what they're doing, especially in our own network, right? Because we
yeah,
have people who we're doing work, but if you the folks in your community don't know what you're doing, then you're not strengthened, and we have to strengthen up and tighten the network so that we're supporting those. Because what's going to happen is you have a conversation over here, and then you start working
yeah.
with someone over there, and they're like outside your network. And then you look up and you're like, I didn't know you did that, because no
Yeah,
one's really talking.
bad.
So
Yeah.
the conversation has to change so that we're strategic and intentional. And so I'm just, you know what, girl, we're just so come up here. It's like,
I
who's
know.
but I just want to say thank you so very much.
Thank you, Marisa.
Next Gen entrepreneurs. I'm excited. I had a blast when I had time with the
they,
girls. It was such
they
a
love you.
it was such a wonderful experience. I love to provoke and influence and motivate and inspire and empower us to not allow our wings to be clipped,
Yeah,
to fight back, to say that we have the right to stretch our arms and soar like eagles as God intended. And so I don't care how tired I am, I will show up
thank
to make
you.
sure that I give back. And so I'm just excited. I'm so proud of the work that you do. You're such a
Thank you.
beautiful individual. Just love your spirit, always have, and always will. And so thank you for taking center stage with me and owning it today.
You're
Um,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to having you back again and getting deeper and deeper into this discussion. This is our first show,
Yes.
BTG, Bridging the Gap, Strategizing for Student Success, and partnering with the next genpreneur.
Let me check
And
out in the chat.
we're looking forward to hosting some of the young people and letting their voice be heard on the platform as well, because we need to hear from them. We need to hear from
Yes.
them. And so okay, yeah, this is great. So I'm dropping, guys, I'm dropping in the comments um, the link so that you guys can get connected to the next gen. This is the next gen. And so make sure that you get and stay connected. Also, she, just like Adiola said, she's looking for support in all different directions. She's looking for partnerships in all different directions. So we want to make sure that we reach out to her. Don't count a robbery. She will be back. We will be talking more and more and more and building
Yeah.
up on the conversation and taking a dive deeper into
Yeah.
bridging that gap and strategizing for our young people's success. And so, without further ado, I just want to say goodnight to everyone and thank you for chiming in. And we
All
will be
right.
back. Enjoy your weekend.
Have a good one.